Welcome to another session of solo therapy. This is session number 200. You haven't seen 199, but it does exist and it is on YouTube. It's just private because I did disclose some things I was not comfortable with. I may publish it at a later point in time. Then again, this is 200. Date is the 31st of December 2025. And the time is 26 minutes to midnight, so it's 26 minutes till the new year. I am in my crib for the night. There's a fancy-ish, it's not unfancy, that's for sure. There's a hotel room. I decided it weren't worth staying in Berlin with the car and so on. I was too worried about the condition of my car and it remaining intact and so on. So, for the first time in my life, first time in my adult life, but as a kid you don't, so first time in my life, I have booked a hotel room to escape the city. I'm 30k north of northern border of where I live, approximately. So, it's not too far out there, but, people will still be doing explosives, but not near the amount they do in Berlin. So, it's kind of catering to sensitivity of mine, which is quite nice, being able to cater to that with exchanging money for a service. Because at the end of the day, what is money good for? If not making sure you're well off, improving your quality of life.
Hey there, this is Future Ben from the one you're seeing in the video, and pass one to you. I'm editing this for the first time ever. The reason I'm editing is because if I'm upping the quality, I might as well issue commentary and corrections on statement I've made myself in the past. In this case, I'd just like to make it clear I am aware this is very privileged, being able to spend money on a hotel and so on, Just figured I'd clarify. I'll be back a few more times this session.
Then again, the way my quality of life has been going is I'm kind of bisected, as I guess what I'd call it. Today's tea is Sencha Haru from Cos Tea. OG Seifert, Make Tea Not War. Based in Berlin, highly recommend. I'm kind of bisected about it because I haven't been too great on the self-improvement and so on, Haven't been happy with my state of mind as of late too much. To the point where I've actually been considering picking this up again. More frequently, that is. Then again, I also kind of don't want to do half-assed shit, but I also can't invest the effort, or I don't have the effort to invest into producing this.
Evidently, I can find it in myself, but it did take me 2 days of limbo, as I've called it in the past, to get to this point of actually narrating.
That kind of means I kind of let it drop. Last session, 199, was beginning of September sometime. Reckon about halfway through the first week, maybe second week. Let's say 7th of September. So even that was a quarter ago, Time fly when you're busy and all that. I have, in the meantime, had a minor flu, have recovered from it, so that's no concern. Spent Christmas down by my mother's. Most of the time, not fair, solid day and a half continuous.
Not actually continuous, in 2 separate sessions through the night.
Awake overnight with my grandma, saying goodbye and all. Odds are next time I see her, she won't be around, or I won't be around, we won't be around. Not to force any perspectives of an afterlife upon one, but she have those, so, fair enough to respect them. It's also a matter of the institution she's in is just shared accommodation for elderly. So they have house service, whatever you might call it,
Housekeeping.
of the house. It's not their responsibility to look after the people. And at the end of the day, she would scream and help at the latest every 90 minutes, For them as humans, they do not want to leave someone screaming help and help and help. But when you come and ask, or when you're there and you ask, what can one do for you? The answer is, I don't know. So, you know, it's just really sad, I guess. I did have a little cry. But that's just what end of life's about. I mean, she's 91 for fuck's sake, you know. In her 92nd year of life, so can't complain about that. For tonight, I have had real good dinner. Wild boar and wild deer with potatoes, spuds and camembert cheese. The accommodation here, even though it's supposed to be apartment, so it's supposed to have a kitchenette for heating it, where sufficient though not great. And I still have to do the dishes, but they don't have a sponge, so I'm wondering how I'll solve that problem, but we'll find out, you know, cross that bridge when we get there. Worst case, I'll have to write them, oi, you didn't have a sponge, I sadly didn't wash up my pot. I don't even know if that's a thing you're supposed to be doing, because after all, it is a hotel.
After all, it is a hotel, and all of these concerns were ill-founded. There wasn't even the slightest hopes of them of me doing my dishes, so I shouldn't have had to worry. Then again, that's what I do. Try not to, you know, but it's really quite hard not to do.
Then again, it is an apartment in a hotel, so who knows.
It is a hotel, though.
I have been busy planning furnishing my flat. I have some holidays booked for the end of January, this coming January 2026, which is actually mostly holidays I have remaining from this year. Surprisingly enough, you know. First completed year of employment and all. And I definitely don't mind. Plan is to build a bed, a walk-in bed, because as far as I understand, with health and safety concerns, as far as fire safety and so on, it should be compliant if it's furniture. It's not a room. It's just a piece of furniture. I don't know, but in the end of the day, I'm happy enough with the compliance for my safety. I might put a carbon monoxide detector or so in there, but you know, that's something we'll have to see. But I plan on buying 40 sticks of lumber just for the frame of it, which is kind of over the top. Then again, it have 4 walls. Theoretically, I'd only have to build 2 walls, but whenever I move, I'd have to build another 2. I'd rather just get it all sorted and fought out, and not have to worry about it, you know. Life go on. I'm actually wearing a civilian fit. As you might be able to tell, it's not my regular uniform. Just figured might as well have something comfy for the night. It's not that my regular uniform is not comfy. It's just this is a different kind of comfy. You can sleep in these clothes. I mean, I'm not gonna, but you could, you know. So, treated myself to some fancy clothes. Well, I'd call them fancy anyways. Main concern with booking this hotel was them having a parking lot, and they do, and I am in it, and it is locked, the parking lot. And the people here, though, you can probably hear them pop off, aren't doing remotely as many explosives as they would in Berlin. I'm 100% of it, because there is a lot fewer people here. And it is supposed to be a Bad Kulturort.
It is not the place I was at. Eberswalde is in no way, shape or form a bard. There is others nearby, though.
Bad Eberswalde, which means historically with the Romans. No, the Romans didn't come here. I don't know. I know in other places, historically, it's because the Romans established baths there. I don't know why this is a bath, because to my understanding, the Romans didn't come here. I mean, one example is Bath in England, which to this day have baths. And usually those are fancy-ish places. This hotel was really rather affordable. Then again, it still felt weird, shilling high double digits for just a bed to sleep in when I already have one, you know. I already have one and I'm building another.
Again, check your privilege.
Then again, you might be able to tell it is a rather fancy bed. Mattress is a bit soft, but I suspect I'll manage, you know. Still have to bring the car in for service sometime. Haven't even made an appointment. But I need new glow plugs and new front tyres. At this point in life, I've reached a point where I'll just get the fancy tyres with best wet traction and so on.
Then again, this shows I'm rather well off at this time, eh?
Oddly enough, oddly due to the feedback I've received on past versions of this, past episodes of this, I have gotten the feedback as of recent that I am little reflected at times, which I find odd because I tend to think a lot about what I say. I believe the common label is hyperverbal autistic. I am autistic, by the way, in case I haven't disclaimed already. I would actually expand the term. I'm no medical researcher or nothing, but I wouldn't say I'm just hyperverbal. I'd say I'm hypercommunicative, because if I cannot communicate using words, I find other ways. Best example is driving. I use my high beams, I use my horn, I use my indicators, I even use my fog lamp at the back end of the car to communicate with other people, and usually I'll manage quite successfully. Sometimes people are upset and I don't understand why. I sometimes look at the dashcam footage after the fact and still don't understand why, and then I decide, oh, maybe they've just had a bad day, you know. That's what humans do.
Sipstein ASMR.
Might as well show some of the tea liquide to you. This is the tea we're drinking. It's Sencha Haru. Might as well show the label. There you go. Sencha Haru. Cos Tea, highly recommend. Is my go-to tea dealer. Very kind human. Though very adult, grown up kind. Ah, gotta love word jokes, you know. As to why I haven't been doing these as regularly, I don't know. At one point in time, I'd done 2 in a day, back when it was a shorter format. It's just a matter of spinning around in my head, overthinking. In the end, I don't get around to it. It's because I have made it more formal a format over time. I mean, in the beginning, I just sat in the car with an AirPod in and talked to my phone, you know, selfie cam. These days, I'm sitting here with a lavalier mic and a back-facing monitor on my phone, so I can use back-facing camera with sufficient lighting around. Though, admittedly, all I've done is turn on all the room lighting in this hotel room, so, you know. And I kind of really do want to produce these proper. With getting my flat out fitted in the coming year, as not a New Year's resolution, I don't do those. But for the past quarter year, I've been saying, or maybe even longer, half year probably by now, I want to get my flat, both figuratively and literally, sorted and furnished by the end of next year. So I could invite someone over and not have to worry about, got to clean up, but I ain't got nowhere to put these things. In the end of the day, what I have for furniture currently is heavy-duty shelving units. What are they? 6 foot tall, 3 foot wide, 1 foot deep, 1 foot and a bit deep. Might as well use metric units, metric. 40 centimetre deep, 90 wide, 180 tall. And they serve their purpose. I'll continue using those in the storage compartment I have rented, which is also news to you. I haven't said this publicly, but it's pretty nice because it don't cost an arm and a leg. I mean, it costs significantly less than my flat rent. My flat rent is cheap. But the storage place also come with a parcel concierge, which means I can just order my shit, have it delivered there, and pick it up during opening hours, which are like from 8 in the morning till 6 in the evening. Which means as long as I am in Berlin, I can pick it up in a working day, because I'm not legally allowed to work 12 hours. Which is pretty solid, you know. I've been getting my parcels consistently. So, you know, can't complain. I mean, that's probably worth 50% the bill for the storage compartment by itself. Then again, that's where I can use the heavy duty shelving units I have for furniture at this time in my flat. While I build proper furniture, I can also shove shit in there. The only problem is to not make it a long-term burden, simply a mid-term solution to the problem I have. So I am going to have to throw some stuff out. I could sell stuff, but realistically, the social interaction and effort don't justify the money one can get from selling the stuff I'd be looking to sell. It'd be 20 bucks here, 20 there. But for that, you spend hours of time, and maybe I'll find a friend who's willing to sell the stuff for me, but I doubt it. In the end of the day, it's all nice to have shit I don't need. I mean, there's a couple of things I'll probably end up selling. I still have a nice blue switch keyboard, mechanical. It's cheapo, but it's good keyboard. Don't have no flex. 100%. So including the numpad and the 6 buttons in the top right. And that's something I wouldn't mind selling off for like, 50% new price, even though it's barely used, you know, because why not? Might as well make a little money, but most of the things I have are just nice to have spares. I mean, I have 20 old yogurt buckets. If you buy yogurt in like kilo, they come in small buckets, you know, Greek yogurt and so on, even flavoured ones. Those are real handy to have around, but I still have one for greasing springs for keyboards, mechanical keyboards, or lubing them. It's not really grease, it's very thin lube. But you put them in there, you shake it, add a little oil, shake it again, and they're lubed. But I don't got to keep that round. Whenever I end up lubing keyboard springs again, whenever that may be, I can just get another container or use a different one, use a reusable one for food or something like that, you know. Almost a Tupperware there, but I don't use Tupperware, I use Emsa. I try to stick to the same kind of stuff, you know. With same kind of stuff, I am still largely Euro norm crate based. I mean, even here I have a big one and a small one. The tea stuff, I transport in a small one because it's real handy, and I can also have some coffee stuff in there. Yeah, but you know, with being Euro norm based, it's actually made buying power tools kind of a mirth situation, because I do now have a 3D printer, which means I can print inserts for Euro norm crates to transport power tools. But when you buy power tools, there's the option of having them delivered with an L box, which is an industry standard. And it pains me not to use that option, but I know I don't want another standard of boxes. And at the end of the day, there is cheap enough Euro norm boxes for like 12 bucks, including the lid, that you can use as carry cases, and they're more compact even. And they, more importantly, they fit the same norm as all my other stuff, you know. I have had a workshop in the plans, or workbench in the plans for a while, but I think that'll have to wait until I've done the bed, at least until I've done the base structure of the bed. And for that, I will most certainly use Euro norm crates, mostly 70mm high, so very shallow, because at the end of the day, it's all for tools, and I want them all visible when I open up the drawer. I don't want tools stacked upon one another. 8 minutes till midnight. That's probably how close we are on the nuclear clock. Oh no. No, it's probably way closer.
I was referring to the doomsday clock, and as of January 2024, so a year ago, we're at 89 seconds to midnight.
Then again, let's not worry about that. Can't change it anyways. No point worrying about things we can't change. I I haven't been going to the tea joint as regularly as I would like to. I did manage to go twice within the week before it shut for Christmas and New Year's, so that's something, you know. But yeah, it's hard to find the time just because it's best part of an hour away from my place. Most of the time is an hour away from the clients as well, the other direction, and my place the other direction, which means I end up driving in a huge triangle if I do want to go by the tea joint. But each of those sides of the triangle is an hour's time, you know, and quite a lot of the time I end up not having it. It's kind of a bummer, but you know, only got the time we do. I made myself some hot chocolate earlier, a litres worth. A fancy Swiss hot chocolate. It's not the common brand people associate with Swiss hot chocolate, which would be over melting. It's a different brand, but it's pretty nice, you know. I mean, it's not the fanciest milk I use. It's just 3.5% fresh milk, 3.5% fat. But bloody hell, that's nice. Some good hot chocolate. I mean, it's still got a lot of sugar in it, that powder. Just because Swiss it don't mean it don't got sugar in it, but you know, it tastes good. As the minor quality of life improvements, I am taking more and more and going more and more, and is a dangerous slippery slope, because at the end of the day, I don't want to end up spending all of my income every month. I am currently not in the position of spending all my income every month, and I'm quite happy about it. But I also want to achieve the highest possible status quo for quality of life. Because at the end of the day, what's money good for if not quality of life, you know? I give up a lot of my lifetime, my waking hours, to have said income, to have the money, and I might as well have a good quality of life with some fancy snacks whenever I'm not working. That having been said, I do manage to have my life basics, including basic food, milk and so on, covered with about half my paycheck, which I'm happy about. It's not because my paycheck is so high, sadly. It is just because I managed to keep expenses down. I only just paid rent for next month, so January 2026. But because I've now lived in my place for well over a year, I got the running costs bill for 2024, and I actually got like 230 euros of credit that, according to the instructions of it, I was supposed to subtract from the month's rent. So even though my rent had gone up by 12 euro, I paid less than 200 euro for January, which is pretty stunning, you know. It's liquidity one can use. With the quality of life I am able to achieve, I'm doing things I probably don't need. I certainly don't need to, but I like to because it's fancy shit to have. For example, my sister is looking to do some electronics work with rewiring my dad's bike. It's now her bike. I'll take the other one. She's short enough to ride it. I'm not. I'm too tall to ride that bike, and I don't have a license. She's working on it. But for that, she needed a heat gun. We had a cheapish one from Lidl, which was more than sufficient for anything she or I would do. But because I decided, oh, she needed it, she can have it. It's both our property, you know. I'll buy myself one. First, Amazon got this Black Friday deal, the Jungle website, got this Black Friday deal for one that supposedly works with my battery system, which is the AmpShare 18 volt system is what I've chosen to use because Fine as a brand is included and I really like Fine quality. Oh, that's available for like 70 bucks on sale. Oh, I'll buy it. Turns out it weren't compatible with my batteries because bad search results. They just want people to see things, you know. They don't consider the fact that some of their searches might not be great. If you search Bosch professional 18 volt, you don't only get professional 18 volt. And if you then don't look too closely, you end up buying Bosch regular 18 volt. Ended up returning that. Was from a German manufacturer made in Romania. Ended up returning that and buying the proper one for the 18 volt system I have. But let's just say that costs an order of magnitude more. Not a full factor of 10, but still an order of magnitude. And I'm happy to have bought it because now I have the capabilities of doing shrink tubing perfectly, you know. I mean, I have the right tool for the job, but it's way more than I'll ever need. Then again, I mean, it'll last me decades, if not my life. Because it's from a quality name, a German name, made in Romania, so made in the EU. And it's a battery system that have a future in it. Because there's still tools being made for the battery systems. Tools have been made for the battery system for over a decade and a half now. You'll always be able to buy the batteries, which means the tool is always going to be good until it faults out. With that manufacturer, I'm fairly confident you can have them serviced. I didn't look it up. I'd probably end up doing it myself because I'm a cheapskate. Well, that's not a fair statement toward myself. I'm not a cheapskate. I have a poor mentality. You can get the kid out of the village, but you can't get the village out of the kid, I guess. It's not fair to say I grew up poor, but I didn't grow up with the excess funds I have at this time. Neither did any of my family have the excess funds I have at this time, because I have very low operating costs in life, which is why I can afford to shill to not spend New Year's Eve in Berlin. The peace of mind that gives me is worth every penny I spent on this 10 times over. Then again, I wouldn't have spent 10 times the amount of pennies to have this, but I would have spent 10 times the amount of pennies for the parking, on the parking anyways. I mean, I paid 12 euros for the night. And it's a proper locked compound that you can only get in if you have a key, card, or app. I might have to pause this. Oh no, never mind. Happy New Year, happy 2026. Best of health and everything and all that to all you know and all you care about yourselves and so on. Because apparently it's the Happy New Year now, at least in Central European time. Which is why you might have a hard time hearing me. You shouldn't, but you might, because there's a lot of explosives going off. I'll just assume you can hear me without checking, because I do have this mic, and let me just check. Yes, the light is still working, so I'm still online. That having been said, I've had most of a bottle of Dornfelder from 2021 tonight, a dry Dornfelder red wine. I probably had about 600 millilitres already. So I'll most certainly not upload this tonight. I'll probably upload it tomorrow in the morning or so. Just so I can make sure I didn't say nothing I didn't mean to say.
In fact, I didn't. The only thing is I'll always have corrections, so here they are.
Because I am very open on this platform, and I don't want to be that to my future self's detriment. There is things that are not mine to disclose, and I shall do my best to not disclose those, you know. That having been said, in the past few months, since session 199, which was months after you last heard from me because it's not public yet, I have been tried and tested. I interacted with a person regularly for 2+ weeks. Tried my best to communicate with him and teach him things. And that person managed to get done by the same speeding camera, stationary speeding camera, 3 nights within 10 days. The very same, in the same place. Then again, not trying to judge, but you can figure as much as I might think of them, because evidently it's hard to get done by a stationary speed cam once, because either you abide by the speed limit or you don't, but you still figure out where they are ahead of time. More on that in a second. But even if you don't manage that a second and third time within 10 days by the same camera is next level. That was a challenge. I managed to preserve my calm and not lose my peace with them, at least toward themselves, but far. I can assure you they were sent to challenge me. This is our second brew of Senchaharu now, by the way. On the topic of speeding and speeding cameras, I had in the past noted the concept of speeding escalating in my practice of driving a motor vehicle. It has now plateaued. Then again, it has plateaued at speeding. Half year ago me, or a year ago me, would have said speeding like a total maniac. But now me reckons, I don't do it in front of a kindergarten or school. You know, I abide by the speed limits in places where they make objective sense. But other than that, I just follow the flow of traffic. And if the flow of traffic is 15 kph over the, in my opinion, speed limit, because yes, speed is theoretically an objectively measurable thing, but in reality, none of us know how fast we're going, because none of us have thousands and thousands of currency units worth of measuring equipment in our vehicles to know how quickly we're going. Which means there's a guesstimate game at some place, and I reckon these days I've accommodated my conservativity in those guesstimates in the past, because I was on the slow end of traffic, and no way an excuse or so, but you can only so long be so strong before you cave on in, you know. And I have caved on in to the point where I am now within the top 20th percentile of speed. Top 20th percentile because there still is maniacs that speed more than I do. Then again, a year ago me, 2 years ago me, half a year ago me, would have said I'm a maniac for the way that I speed now, so who knows? Let's hope, fingers crossed down Gedrückt and all, we remain on that plateau, because kind of am not comfortable with the idea of being in the top percentile of speeders or so, because at that point you're no longer safe. A year ago me, 2 year ago me, would have said, being in the top 50th percentile of speed on the road is crazy. You'll never see me there. Then again, that is a long gone person. That is a person that lived a year ago, 2 years ago, half a year ago. I now, here, with perspectives that change and opinions that change, reckon, top 20th percentile of speed on the road is fine. And if you ever get done, it's not like it'll be an arm and a leg, you know, it's slap on the wrist, about as much as parking in a fancy place for a couple of hours. And I don't like that perspective, but at the end of the day, it's not like I got them done in the time, have I? I got them done once since I last done one of these, and that was doing 9 over, a 9er kph over after tolerance of 4 kph, so 13. But the speed limit I was aware of had been 130 kph. Then I was aware of passing a speed limit sign because I was busy changing lanes, 4 lane changes to get past the middle lane creeper. I hadn't realised what the number on it was, and to my understanding, it's only compliant with governmental guidelines and so on to have 100 kph following 130, or 120 kph, or open speed limit. But 90 is not in that realm. So I'd driven by the speed camera, going like this, which is probably the thumbnail for this video, looking dead in the eye, thinking, yeah, I won't get done, I'm at the speed limit. Turns out I was 9 over after tolerances, which cost me $15, I reckon. Might have been 20. But you know, it's worth it. Well, it's not worth it, but I couldn't have known better at the time, and it's funny enough, and you know, now I've got a good profile picture to use places. I had considered going for a smoke, but considering the condition of the air outside at this time, it is definitely not worth polluting my lungs and my system with the shit outside there just to get my rush of nicotine, you know. I mean, we've been in the new year for 8 minutes. These people are still busy blowing up their money and burning it. I mean, if I held a fiver up and lit it on fire, people would say, yeah, you can't do that. But here is people lighting tenors and hundreds and thousands on fire. I mean, yeah, if you have so much money, you don't mind losing a tenner or $1,000 or something like that. That's fine, but in my eyes, I earn well now, and I still wouldn't consider doing that. I'd have to really earn fuck you money to consider the option of fireworks, and even then I'd probably hire a proper pyrotechnic. Nah. It's matters of perspectives, you know. I mean, it is fun to set things alight, which is why I like a proper campfire. But at the end of the day, this is a huge bloody industry. I mean, you have to consider, in Germany, there's only 3 days they're legally allowed to sell it, which is 31st, 30th and 29th, unless the 29th is on a Sunday, in which case they are also allowed to sell it on the 28th of December. Yet, most they sell in Germany are made in Germany explosives, which is nuts if you think of it. I mean, it is after Black Friday, which cliche is when companies go into the black, so that's when people are just burning money. But bloody hell, you know. With the car going to the workshop, I got good news for myself, I guess. Not really for you, because it don't affect you. But I have now reached a point in life where I'm confident enough to have the funds to actually pay for the workshop bill on my bank account at this time, and not due to the last month's paycheck coming in yesterday, but simply due to planning and putting money aside and all that, you know, which is a good feeling. But I wonder if I'll ever have put enough aside. I mean, I'm still decades away from that point if I ever do reach it, you know. There's a funny feeling. Because, you know, I can just bring it to the workshop and tell them, oh, yeah, right, that's the expected bill. If it goes over 150%, call me, otherwise don't bother me. Which is hella privilege, especially considering I'm going to a dealer's workshop, you know. I'm not going to an independent. Because, to be fair, independents are hard to find, especially if you want bills, which I do want. Yes, this hotel room's pretty alright. The only problem is for the bog, you shouldn't be overweight to sit on it, because it's kind of away in the corner, but, you know, can't complain. It even have a height-changing table, electrically changing, German Hubtisch, behind the camera, which is fancy, you know. And oddly enough, yes, it is only a night, but historically I would have packed approximately €5 or €6 boxes worth. I only packed like €3 boxes worth of stuff, and that's including food for the night. Still got a minor rested dinner to warm up. And if I fancy it, I can have an early lunch tomorrow, otherwise I'll take it home and do it there, you know. People burning money. Let me just show you outside the window. And then I can actually show you some of this place, you know, some of this hotel place. So, that's the height-changing table with my tea box and my food box on it. cooktop, which live in the cupboard, pots are used, microwave, oven combi, fridge, wardrobe, and the bathroom. And the bathroom even have this fancy mirror that have Bluetooth. So you can use it as a speaker. Who's a funk, you know? It's bloody crazy. And there is this mirror, right in the hallway, you know. Oh, and you can see my fancy shoes there. Fancy, you know. Oh. That's the bed. Telly. Ooh, you can see yourself there. And if we look out the window, you might think it's fog or foggy. I can assure you it's not. Ah, come on, focus you far. You might think there's all fog out there. It's not. It's fireworks and their exhaust and shit, you know. That's all combustion products. Yeah, so anyways, you know, quite surprising. Well, it's not surprising to be fair, but I feel it have been escalating since I was a child. When I was smaller, I mean, we'd done some fireworks, but it's not like it was this crazy. Then again, I didn't live in big city. This isn't a big city, on the other hand. Oh, and that's the rest of my dinner. Really good food. My sister done it. 10 out of 10 approve. Proud of you, sis. I brought the meat, and that's my bottle of wine, and what I'll have after I've had tea. Not much left. Oddly enough. Now it's a matter of placing the camera proper again, eh? And now I'll place you all crooked. There we go. That should suffice. Yeah, it's just surprising how many combustion products you can put in the air. And this is countryside, for all practical purposes. I don't know how many inhabitants this place have, but I can't imagine it's more than 20,000. Which is more than 2 orders of magnitude less than where I live. More than 100-fold less. Which is why I'm happy to not be driving through Berlin tonight. Then again, this is a really good time to drive cross-country on the Autobahn, because no one in Germany appear to be driving at this time. All the roads are totally clear. Like, you don't got to worry about traffic or nothing. This is the time of the year to go all the way on your car. The only thing is, if you ever have an accident at this time, you're royally fucked, because all the ambulances and fire services are occupied in other ways. Not much one can do about that, you know. Excuse me for that, but I did go second day of Christmas. I went for a hike with my mum's former classmates and from the year above her. Try and do that most years, and they call it a hike, but I really call it a walk, because it's like 3 hours of walking or so, you know. It's not a hike. For me, a hike starts overnighting. But it's just in the sticks, you know, it's like 10k or so. And I'm still not happy with how level you are, or how not level. There we go, that might be less bad. It's just 10k in the sticks or so. And though I am in no way, size, shape or form fit, 10k isn't a problem for me. I can probably walk 20k, no problem. In fact, week before last, I actually done more than a marathon over the week. Admittedly, not in one go, not continuously, but, you know, just in daily walking for work, without even trying to, admittedly. I have wondered about going for walks proper, but I reckon I'll just go for walks in the park, you know, not quick or so. I've done it in the past in Berlin's Tiergarten, which is de facto Central Park of Berlin. And I'll most certainly do it again in the future. It's just currently, because fireworks is actually blocked off because that's where the proper fireworks are staged. And let me just put you on this table while I head over there to blow my nose, you know. Don't want to be hearing that.
And because of that, I decided I'd just mute the audio track because you did in fact hear it. But good news is, now you aren't, because this is actually produced. Huge quotation marks around that. Anyway, Past Ben's about to return, so yeah, you better listen to him, I guess.
And it weren't even that long. Ooh. With how I'm wearing this sweater, I'm not quite sure if I'm comfortable with it, but I like this idea of a little bow tie up here. Well, yeah, I guess it is a bow tie. No, it's not a bow tie, it is a bow tie, as one does with shoes. And I quite like the idea of the top being closed and the bottom being open and all. And I am actually wearing my suit trousers that I've had for the best part of a decade now. Bloody hell, I'm getting old. Time fly. And I mean, the main reason for furnishing my flat is so everything can have its place. Because if one thinks volumetrically, at this time I am very wasteful. For 2 square meters of my flat are nothing but the bed. I cannot use the space above, I cannot use the space below. Once I've built my own bed, it'll be the same space, more or less. But it'll include storage and a cupboard and shit. And more wall space, more importantly. Oddly enough, the orientation of the bed is going to remain about the same, but the head end is going to wander to where my feet are currently because there'll be an extra door. Which means the head furthest away from the doorway is actually going to be the other way round. As a change to the tea, we'll have some Dornfelder of the year of 2021 from Silbernagel in Ilbesheim by Landau Pfalz. It is dry, but it's a good dry. It's very pleasant. Oh, it's lovely. Ha ha. Don't do alcohol, kids. If you can't, and not only kids, if you don't know your limits or you can't stop drinking, don't do alcohol as an adult either. Alcoholism is a very serious issue. If you notice any signs of suffering from it, just stop. Like, not one glass here and there, just stop dead. Good news is, I'm far enough away from being an alcoholic to the point where sometimes I have alcoholic beverages where I am, like at home, and I'll forget I have them for months at a time, you know. Real first world problems. Oh no, I haven't had any of my whiskey collection for months. Oh. I know you can't hear it, but it's the world's smallest violin I'm playing for myself, you know. In other news, this beard on my face is now approaching a year old. On the 25th of January, it'll be a year old. And it is quite sizable, you know, these days. Especially the moustache. I mean, it reaches all the way to here. If I twirl my moustache, I can actually put a bow tie in it up in front underneath my nose. Then again, considering I am half German, that is not politically appropriate to be doing. Which means I'll just keep it as a moustache or twirled up on the sides. I might actually end up doing this hotel thing again for next New Year's. And I might end up doing it for short-term holidays, short duration holidays in the future as well. You know, just a long weekend or so, extended weekend. Just because here I can't do any work. Which is surprisingly pleasant, I guess. I don't know. But it's not too expensive, you know, it's less than a tank of diesel for staying here and the parking lot. It is on the way to where I go to get these. Don't smoke, kids, smoking kills. But I do get them in Poland, which is just down the road from here. So, you know, it's 2 birds, 1 stone kind of deal. Then again, I do get checked on the border every time, which makes me not want to go because I simply can't be fussed to deal with the Rosses. I haven't anything to hide. But eventually they'll start looking for something, and they'll find something small, you know, like, oh, you're not supposed to have Euro lights on your car in Germany, even if you travel to England frequently or so. I was in England beginning of September, which is why I still have them on. They haven't complained about it yet, but I'm anticipating they will start complaining about it. And whenever they do start complaining about it, I bet I have a ferry ticket booked for my next journey over. Because then they can't complain about it properly. I mean, they can't say, oh no, you're not allowed to have it here, but you have to have it over there. You have to do it at sea, where you're not allowed to go to your car for health and safety reasons. I mean, there is limits to it, and I mean the German Automobile Association, Allgemeiner Deutscher Automobilclub, ACDC, ADAC proper, but ACDC as my dad used to call it, they sell them, so it can't be that bad, you know. And at the end of the day, the only thing it causes is I do not illuminate my passenger side roadside as much, which shouldn't matter because I'm still just as visible for everyone. I'm just not dazzling anyone if I drive on the wrong side of the road, because that's apparently what the island folk do, you know. That having been said, driving on the wrong side of the road with the island folk was surprisingly chill for me. The roads are set up so you can't really end up on the wrong side of the road all easily. The roundabouts are really chill. Ended up going, for legal purposes, exactly the speed limit on the way up to Norfolk, because I had found a local plate that was going, for legal reasons, exactly the speed limit, and I decided to follow them for legal reasons, exactly the speed limit, with a healthy distance in between. So if they got done for speeding, I wouldn't, but they knew where all the cameras were, and of course we wouldn't get done anyways, because for legal reasons it was exactly the speed limit. But, you know, it's just funny things. And I do understand speed limits exist for reasons, but they are for certain loads of traffic, and at 4 in the morning, you have a lot less traffic. Yeah, I reckon I am not just hyperverbal autistic, I am hypercommunicative. Which, like repetitive or competitive, is a fun word to say. Communicative. But I reckon I am hypercommunicative because whenever I have the option to speak, because someone else is speaking also, I'm surprisingly good at non-verbal communication, either gesturing or facial expressions or whatever, you know. People tend to understand me very well. That actually reminded me of a seminar thing, an exercise at a seminar from my voluntary social year, where I was put to the front and I was asked to describe an image to the others so they could draw it. More than one person ended up with exactly the same image I had. It's just primitive shapes and outlines and so on, you know. Some people didn't have the paper in the right orientation. And when I said landscape orientation, not portrait, they figured, oh, landscape orientation, that must be the short form video format, not long form video format, you know, because landscapes historically are usually depicted vertically because there's a lot of verticality in landscapes. Things like that still wonder me, you know, bewilder me. I'll never understand people, but if they think they understand something and they really don't, that's what I have a problem with. I mean, people cannot understand something, that's fine. That's when you can ask questions or just guess. But in that case, they couldn't ask questions, and they're just guessing. Wasn't guessing because they believed they actually done it right. They didn't know, oh, I took a risk and I knew I was taking a risk. They just done it figuring, oh yeah, this must be what you mean. Phrases like, or terms like orthogonal, or parallel. Orthogonal to the top edge of the square, a third from the right hand side end of the top line of the square. Draw a line down going down halfway into the square. It's not that difficult, you know. There's only one way to follow these verbal instructions precisely. Someone is actually crazy enough to be driving a car at this hour. I know earlier there was a car in the video as well, but this is low enough resolution that their reg plate won't be visible, so I'm not concerned about it. Yeah, I reckon that's all I've got to say for the moment. I mean, I've got other things to say, but not at this time. So, yeah. Anyways, hope you have a lovely, healthy year. Best of health to you and all you know and care about. Stay safe. I'll see you around. Wonder when, but we will see one another again. Oh, I'm pertinent. I didn't even know it. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, so anyways, this is Epilogue Me, editing me. The closest to you in the timeline, that is. What have we discussed this session? Well, main thing was really, I wasn't happy with the way I'd been developing, and I should do these more frequently. And that was reflected by my focus on money. I don't like that, but that's the way it is, eh? We'll have to figure it out. I'm hoping to see you around. Stay safe. Love you.
Money makes the world go round. This is all a Bible with a big